speaking Spanish. September 12, 2023 meeting of the Woodstock Community School District 200 Board of Education. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. There's a flag in the back and there's a flag behind us, so either one is fine. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board member Michelle Bidwell has submitted a request to participate in tonight's meeting remotely via electronic means. Dr. Bidwell notified the superintendent of this request in advance, and her request has met the requirements of the Board of Education policy regarding meeting participation by electronic means. We have a roll call, please.
Dr. Bidwell?
Here.
Dr. Ferris?
Present.
Mr. Gilmore?
Here.
Mr. Headley?
Yes, here.
Mr. Homo?
Present.
Mr. Maselli?
Here.
Mr. Parisi?
Here.
Okay, the first item on our agenda tonight then is our consent agenda. There's also an addendum of personnel matters on your desk. Do any members? Okay. All right.
I'm trying to.
I cannot hear. Did Carl ask if we want to pull something? I couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
I was about to, but I was getting reverberation. Let's try it now. Please take a moment to review the consent agenda. And if any members would like to, please let us know if you'd like to pull any items from the consent agenda.
Yes, I would like to pull 2.3.
Okay, item 2.3 is the approval of all elementary schools fundraising requests.
Yes.
Should we go and mute, not turn around?
Okay.
She got a microphone? She has, yeah. Yep. Okay.
All right, are there any other items that any members wish to pull from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull the routine personnel matters, I guess the addendum 2.2.
The whole thing? All right.
2.2A.
All right. Any other items to be pulled from the consent agenda? Okay. Keeping in mind the two items that are being pulled from the consent agenda at this time, whenever you're ready, if anyone would submit or propose a motion with respect to the remainder of the consent agenda.
Move to waive the reading of and approve the consent agenda, including the personnel matters addendum with the exception of paragraph 2.2a and with the exception of section 2.3 of the board agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by, I believe it was Dr. Ferris. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Homewood?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. Okay, with respect to item, let's talk about the personnel agenda. I believe that's because of a conflict.
Conflict on 2.2A. Yeah.
I would entertain a motion with respect to the approval of the routine personnel addendum, item 2.2A.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Parisi, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Headley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Homewood?
Abstain.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. All right, and then with respect to item 2.3, which is the approval of all elementary school fundraising requests 2023 to 24, do we deal with that discussion now, or do we do it as part of new business? Okay. Dr. Bidwell, if you would explain what your concern is with respect to item 2.3?
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to talk about this fundraiser. It honestly might be a moot point for this year because the information went out to the students already this week. So I don't know that anything is worth changing in terms of this particular year. But I just wanted to talk about understanding why we're doing this fundraiser because there's a couple of concerns that I have. One, it tends to fall right at the beginning of the year when a lot of the elementary schools are doing their first PTO fundraisers. And so it's just like a lot all at once. And so if you have multiple students, then you're getting this fundraiser for both of them, the other fundraisers for both of them. The other question I have about it though is the feedback that I've gotten from teachers is that the thought behind it is great. The money goes to them being able to use like their percentage in a school store that they can buy school supplies in, but the supplies are very expensive. The price is much higher than it might be if you got it at like Amazon or Walmart. So you're not really even getting your money's worth in terms of like bang for your buck. So I just was wondering if maybe in future years either we don't do this fundraiser or we do something different, but that's just my thought, and so I just wanted to bring it to the board.
So, and Michelle, thank you for sharing that concern with me previously. So I talked to the principal about it, and there's three components that go into this fundraiser as an option. One is buying books or wrapping paper, things like that, in which we make a little bit of money. One is they're a third party. You can buy things at Walmart, Best Buy, things like that, and they give about 1%, somewhere a little bit higher. Back, and again, make a little bit of money on that. The third part is you can just donate to a teacher. And I think that's what Michelle's talking about, where it goes into a store. And on that we made that. And we run all numbers together. I think about $35,000 people donated to teachers to shop at the store. Which again, Michelle said is high. I don't doubt that at all. But that's what I did again. I mean, just the response was significant, I think. But it is, I mean, the beginning of the year is when 90% of fundraising goes on, in building like, especially in elementary schools for sure. But that was the feedback we got on why they wanted to do it again. This is the second or third year they'd asked to do it. And some of the buildings did go out Monday, which is a communication error, so I apologize for that. The rest haven't gone out, and we can stop the ones that did too. So, I mean, if the board chooses not to do this, it's not too late to walk it back.
maybe I'm not clear on what this is, because the description, at least when I went there, it says, it sounds like it's just kind of like a shopping area for people to buy things. It's not that people are being approached to buy anything, or
No, you're exactly right.
required to buy anything for school.
You're right.
Just there.
You're right.
Why would that be? I'm not clear, and this is more a rhetorical question, I guess. I'm not clear why that's a conflict with any other fundraising activity, such as, selling candy or whatever people are doing. That was my kind of thought. I'm not sure how that's a conflict.
So this particular fundraiser, and I'm just speaking as an elementary school parent here. So with most of the fundraisers that come home, you have to set up accounts and send out emails and do all these different things. And they're all coming home at the same time, and they've all got different prizes. And then you're sending multiple fundraisers to the same, grandparent or family member or family friend or work partner. And even if we do keep a fundraiser for all schools at the beginning of the year, I think the second part is this the best one based on how far the money goes in terms of what the teachers can use with what's donated? So I'd ask teachers, would you prefer a gift card versus an Amazon gift card versus this? Because of how expensive the school store stuff is to get. So you might not get much for $40.
All right. Are there any further comments, or is there any further discussion on this issue? All right, if not, if I entertain a motion to approve the All Elementary Schools fundraising request 2023-24, or if there's no motion, it would not be approved.
Carl, can we, I hate to kind of hold back something that even if just a few schools it's gone out in, I'm okay with approving it this year with maybe the conversation to talk about it beforehand next year or look at something else.
Okay, do you wish to make a motion to approve it then?
Sure. Can somebody else make it?
Motion is doing it.
Three options. No motion, which means nothing happens, we don't approve it. A motion in favor means we approve it, or a motion opposed to it means we don't approve it. So, do we have a motion of any sort?
Yeah, move to approve the All Elementary Schools fundraising request for 2023-2024.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Mr. Holman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Homo?
Yes.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. Perhaps administration will be so kind as to keep an eye out for this one next year when it comes back. And
That much I can guarantee you.
thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Bidwell. Okay, then our next item on our agenda is our recognition. The first item on our agenda is the Special Olympics competitors, and then we also do District 200 class final.
And we're very excited to have people to recognize here today, some students and some staff. So first we have our Special Olympic competitors from the 2023 Illinois State Summer Games. They were held June 9th to 11th in Bloomington Normal. More than 3,000 athletes, 1,000 coaches, 43 unified partners from the 13 sports competitions. It's a championship level competition for athletes in a number of sports. And we had athletes representing the district in a number of events and winning medals. We won 13 gold medals, 2 silver, 2 bronze, 2 fourth place, and 1 participation. So we're going to honor a number of athletes. In addition to that, we're going to honor our staff, our coaching staff, with Jen Moskowitz, Mary Engel, Natia Hong, Corey Nopik, Amy Marquardt, Janine Vetter, and Mike Warder, who have given so much of the time to our students. So we ask the board to honor our Special Olympians for the great activities and honors. And then also, we're starting this year to honor 2 staff members. Each building will bring 2 staff members to a board meeting, just to honor them because they're great people. And they're people that help make District 200 special. Outstanding educators that give their time and energy to our children. We just want to take today just a couple minutes to say thank you for all they do. So we ask the board to approve that today.
Okay, there's a suggestion motion on page 66 of our materials.
Move to introduce the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education of Woodstock Community Unit School District 200 wishes to recognize the contributions of these individuals, and whereas District 200 has benefited as a result of these accomplishments, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of Woodstock Community Unit School District 200 hereby bestows special recognition and a certificate of achievement on behalf of the citizens of the district.
We have a motion by Mr. Priest. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Headley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Homuth?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna call out each name. If you can come up front, and we'll shake your hand. Mr. Gilmore and I, and we'll stay up front for a big group picture for everybody, all right? And Paris, at that point, you can come up for all the pictures you want. So first, in rhythmic gymnastics, Olivia Colbell. In track and field, Grace Durante. Great job. Want to stand right up here? We'll get a picture. Great celebration, right? We'll get a big group for everyone. Thank you. Maddie Durante for track and field. Easton Friend, track and field. David Druitt from track and field. Caleb Hepke, track and field. Madison Canola for gymnastics. Jalen Dean, powerlifting. Blake Seatak, track and field. And Aubrey Zintak for gymnastics. All right. Parents, come on up to the picture. We'll help you stay up here.
That's what I say.
You can get close, you can get close if you want. Okay, you can get as close as you want. Yeah, plummet. Come on up. There's our place next.
Should I have this back?
Yeah, please.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Moan, colleagues, and community members. I'm Dan Paloma, principal at Clay Academy, and it is my distinct pleasure tonight to help celebrate and acknowledge two distinguished colleagues from Clay Academy. Now in her 8th year at Clay Academy, Ms. Kara Kresge treats each student as an individual who's recognized for their unique talents, abilities, and contributions to the classroom. As an exceptional early elementary teacher who's made a profound impact on the lives of our youngest students, Ms. Kresge is also an emerging leader among the Clay Academy staff, serving on the school's Sunshine Committee and the School Improvement Plan team. Ms. Kresge fosters a classroom environment where curiosity is celebrated, interactions and relationships are respected, mistakes are viewed as opportunities for growth. Her ability to create a warm, inclusive, and welcoming atmosphere ensures that every child feels safe and valued. I could share numerous other acknowledgments of merit and personal observations, but I feel as a few comments from her students may be more impactful. One of her students, Otto, shared that Ms. Kresge is a great teacher that I met the first time I came to Clay. She's very nice and helpful. Mason told me, I like how my teacher teaches me and she's so nice. I want to be in her class forever. Travis said he likes Ms. Kresge because she taught me how to read. Both the students and staff at Clay Academy are fortunate to have Ms. Kara Kresge as a trusted teacher and colleague. I'd also like to take this time to recognize Ms. Christine Pierce, one of Clay Academy's veteran associates. Ms. Pierce has demonstrated unwavering dedication, passion, and a genuine commitment to the education and well-being of every student who walks through our doors. Ms. Pierce's dedication does not stop at the classroom door, as she is frequently supporting students outside of the school day by sometimes riding a bus route home, thus providing, or rather proving, time and again, her role extends far beyond the classroom. Ms. Pierce's willingness to go above and beyond to support her colleagues, accommodate diverse student learning needs, and provide emotional support has been nothing short of extraordinary. Last year, we were faced with a little challenging staffing-related situation when we had a teacher go on leave. Trying to identify a well-suited long-term sub for our middle school program proved to be a little bit of a challenge. So we worked together as a team, and working collaboratively with our staff, we identified Ms. Pierce as an ideal candidate for the long-term substitute position, sought her input, and then supported her through the remaining approximately 6 weeks of the school year, thus providing consistency that our students so deserve. So like Ms. Kresge's situation, I could share numerous other acknowledgments of merit and personal observation, but a couple quotes from students I think would be more impactful. One of our students, Bradley, said that Ms. Pierce, he likes Ms. Pierce because she helps us deal with the stuff we can't do on our own. Cam shared that he likes Ms. Pierce because she makes the school look nice with their bulletin boards, and she helps me with my math. Reese likes Ms. Pierce because she, quote, catches things we're doing wrong, but helps us through those times. So on behalf of the Clay Academy community, I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Superintendent Moan, for the opportunity to share these two remarkable colleagues with you all here tonight. Their collective dedication exemplifies the very best in education, and we're very fortunate to have them among us. Thank you all for your time here this evening.
Any parents out there still get paid before? Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll be moving into the next part of our meeting, which is our communications in just a moment. We'd also recognize that people oftentimes come primarily for the recognition. If that's what you're here for, we'll give you a moment to leave if that's what you want to do. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to for the rest, and give you a moment to exit. Okay, next item on our agenda then is our communications. Communications are a time for community members and district employees to express a point of view, not to debate an issue. There's a sign-up sheet for the public to identify their name, address, phone number, name of organization represented, if any, and a brief description of topics to address. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 2:230 and are otherwise governed by Board Policy 2:230. We'll start with public comments. We did have somebody sign up to address the board. That would be Catherine Hall and Emily Cross. Do you want to address the board at this point?
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Emily Cross, and this is Catherine Hall. We are from Blackhawk Area Council with the Boy Scouts of America, 2820 McFarland Road, Rockford, Illinois, 815-397-0210. We are here requesting permission to have youth talks during school lunch periods and paper flyer distribution.
It is statistically known that children involved in scouting behave better in the classroom, have higher grades, and display leadership within their schools. Scouting also permits children of all abilities to thrive and grow at their own pace. These changes are noticeable to their teachers and make their jobs easier on a daily basis. Scouting is open to both boys and girls, from kindergarten to older. We do not turn any family away in their inability to afford the program. Allowing Scout leaders the opportunity to tell students about the Scouting program will broaden the students' understanding of the General Scouting program. Currently, electronic communication is the only method we have to use, but it's not only effective reaching the families that need, but also the ones that would enjoy the program. Scouting differs from other activities such as basketball or soccer because it is self-explanatory. By taking the last 3 to 5 minutes of a lunch period to tell students about scouting, they are able to get the understanding of the fun that they can have as a scout, and then go home and express that same feeling to their family. This way the children hear about the fun, which in turn inspires the parents to find out and learn about the program that can help their children. The Scouting program is a family activity. It brings the parents and their children together to learn, have fun, and go on adventures together. Additionally, Scouting enhances the school's curriculum that is being taught within the classroom.
Electronic communication can be used as an enhancement, but it's not the most effective way or method for us to recruit the new families into Scouting that would benefit from the program so much. We are all overwhelmed with emails and electronic communication constantly. Not to mention, the students don't get to see the electronic communication with the parents that are seeking out the electronic backpack or receiving the emails. And they don't get to hear from somebody the experiences of Scouting and what fun they could have. So one of the aims of Scouting is to develop good citizenship. And we're asking that we work together as a community to offer the Scouting program to every youth. By us coming together, not only do the youth benefit from Scouting, but the teachers and the community also benefit, as each child that benefits and grows from Scouting will in turn come back to society as a contributing member and help others. Again, the support we are requesting is to distribute paper flyers and speak to the students the last 3 to 5 minutes of lunch periods. We thank you for your time and consideration.
I would suggest you contact Dr. Wong. We don't really vote on things of this nature. It's administration of the district. So I suggest talk to Dr. Wong after sometime tomorrow or after the meeting and talk to them about how to achieve what you're trying to achieve and what we can do with that, okay?
Absolutely. So it'd be all right to reach out to you tomorrow?
Yeah, we don't do paper flyers for anything, just so we're clear, I mean, we're not anti-scouting in any way, shape, or form. We do electronic communications. The lunch thing we can absolutely talk about, for sure. But we've committed to the electronic things going home for everybody. So, but not anti-scouting, not doing just against the scouts, we do that for everybody.
Do we still hold, like, scouting, like 329 used to be at Northwood Middle School? Are they still?
I don't know the daily building rental day.
Yeah, some of the still utilize the schools,
Yeah.
but the parents aren't showing up because they don't see the electronic flyers. So we just recently had one on Dean Street, and 3 families showed up. And those were from one school that happened to like really trying to get it out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the rest of the school that they actually tried to contact, nobody showed. It was just from 3 people from one school.
I don't know the parameters of any of this. I'm not familiar specifically what the parameters are, the protocols or any of that, so the policy moves together. But if there were to be some kind of an in-person availability, I think you can hand the flyers out then, you just don't send them home in backpacks for the kids.
Okay.
So that might be a possibility. But again, I'm going to ask you to talk to Dr. Moan and see where this fits within those, and so he can inform you better and work from there.
We definitely appreciate your time and we'll be reaching out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any other sign-ups? No. Okay. That's everybody who signed up then for public comments. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address the board at this time? Okay, any staff comments? Board comments? I made a couple of trips. 2 trips in one day, one over to Greenwood and one to transportation. See how things are running, just to put eyes on things a couple weeks ago. It was fun. I got to see transportation in action when there was a problem. So I got to see how they did things, and it was eye-opening and amazing what they do over there. In Greenwood, I got to see some of the things in action, like the math program and stuff like that. So it was good to get the opportunity to see things working and talk to the principal and teachers about what some of the challenges are and so forth. So I'm going to continue doing that and encourage anybody who's interested to do the same. Just contact Lisa, she'll help you set it up.
I have a comment. I'd like to thank Dr. Moan for the nice letter when he reached out to me when my sister passed away. And also I thank the administration and the board for sending flowers and being so consoling. So thank you all.
Okay, any other board comments?
Just piggybacking on the transportation, what Carl brought up, I had a family reach out. They were very excited. Their daughter is pre-K and she is now on one of the new buses in a route, and she was very excited. Her route, I guess, was one of the older buses that had some mechanical issues. So it was they sent me a video, and I thought it was it was something we don't always hear. So I thought it was cool to hear that, how the excitement in the child, just something so simple as a new bus. So kind of something cool to share.
Okay, any other board comments then? Okay, we'll move to the superintendent's report.
All right, starting to feel like fall outside, which is exciting for us because, that late wave of heat we had. Getting into the part of the school year. This week's homecoming Woodstock North. So on fire Thursday night, parade Friday afternoon, homecoming game Friday night, their dance Saturday night. I wish a great week to all of our students, staff, families, alumni at Woodstock North. Reminder to all our families, we have our first school improvement half day next Thursday, September 21st. We'll get a message and talk about the families next week so they're prepared. A variety of activities planned for our staff, highlighted by support of our math adoption to elementary level, among other things, but definitely some time on math there. And then the high school, middle school, we've got math instructional coaches and practice coming too. So we're excited about those things happening next week on the 21st. That's the report. Everybody has a great week.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next item then is our unfinished business, which is the approval of a resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $19,500,000 general obligation refunding school bonds of Community Unit School District 200 District number 200, McKenna County, Illinois, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of said school district, providing for the levy for a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, authorizing the sale of said bonds and purchasers thereof, and authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection therewith. Try to do it one breath.
That's a real catchy title, isn't it?
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Gilmore, for handling that lengthy item. So before you tonight is the parameters resolution that authorizes the district to proceed with the sale of refunding bonds. And the most important parameter included in there that we discussed last month is the minimum savings threshold that has to be met in order for any sale of the bonds to be authorized. And in the parameters resolution, that minimum present value savings is set at 5%, which is equivalent to approximately $1 million of present value savings for the refunding. So this evening, I just have one slide, and it's just an update on the estimated savings as of today. So on an annual basis, the savings are highlighted in yellow here. They're just under $200,000 in annual savings. If you recall, a month ago, the number was just over $200,000. So rates have crept up a little bit over the last month or so. On average, it's been about 13 basis points or 0.13% for this overall refinancing. So in total, the savings as of today are estimated to be about $1.71 million. Last month, that was $1.88 million. And on a present value basis, right now we're estimating $1.35 million or 7% of the par amount that's being refunded. A month ago, that was just under $1.5 million on a present value basis or 7.75%. So our estimate of savings has come down a little bit due to the market movement, but it's still, very substantial and well over that 5% threshold. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about that parameters resolution this evening. But in any case, we are, prepared to enter the market tomorrow with a refunding sale, so we can have final results to you pretty soon.
I have a question. So if we, refund the bond, then is there a call date on this, or are we locked in until the end of the period?
That's a great question. So, and it is something that Julie and I walked through last week. So the parameters resolution does authorize a call date. We have no call date on the bond issue, and that is because Julie and I looked at an analysis that shows what the benefit of a call date would be on this bond issue. Typically, a call date is applicable to any bonds that are 10 years or longer, which this would be just barely over a 10-year bond issue. However, only the last one or two maturities would be callable, meaning subject to prepayment again prior to their maturity. And the marginal benefit of actually refunding those final two payments is rather small. And what we realized is that if you wanted to place a call date on these bonds, that does come at a cost today, and that cost was approximately $60,000. In order to make up for that and make a future refunding of those last two payments worthwhile, rates would need to come down well over 200 basis points from where they are today to even consider refunding those last two payments. So you'd essentially be paying an additional $60,000 in debt service costs over the life of the bonds, potentially to never refund those last two payments.
Right. And I'm not a financial guru, but so I have one other question. The 2014 bond, as it is callable, we would be possible, I know we don't have the funds, it would be possible for us to pay that off early, correct? If we wouldn't have the funds, is that correct?
Correct. So what this refunding bond is doing is instead of you applying the dollars, the $19.5 million necessary to just pay off those bonds right now, you are issuing new bonds to fund an escrow account that pays them off instead. And so what you're seeing here is the estimated payments on those new bonds being lower
Thank you.
than the remaining payments.
Are there any other questions, or is there any other discussion? specific language in. I'm gonna make the motion on this. All right. I move for approval of a resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $19,500,000 general obligation refunding school bonds of Community Unit School District Number 200, McHenry County, Illinois, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of said school district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchasers thereof, and authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection therewith. That's what we are discussing. I'm going to ask Mr. Parisi to make the motion that appears on page 68, if he is so willing.
Now, move to waive the reading of and approve the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $19,500,000 general obligation refunding school bonds of the school district for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of said school district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof, and authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection therewith.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Mr. Headley. I guess I didn't ask and I should. Is there any further discussion on the refund? Okay.
So does this include based on, or what target? I don't see that.
Yes, so within the resolution, the minimum savings parameter that has to be met in order for a sale to be authorized is 5% on a present value basis, which is equal to $1 million on a present value basis. And right now, our estimate is about $1.35 million.
The 1 million put the board store around roughly last time, so I think that's what they did the framework.
And the question, do you foresee a continued drop down to that 1 million level? Because it's dropped, quite a bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, fair question. I think that could occur, but we are poised, we're ready in a position to sell the bonds as early as tomorrow. So we should not be, we should be closer to the 1.35 million than the 1 million.
So the other question is, you don't think we should wait, you think we should act now?
I do, because honestly, it's a bird in hand versus two in the bush. We could look back months from now and say, could we have waited possibly, but the way things have been trending upward, I don't foresee that stopping in the very near future. Longer term, certainly a possibility, but without a crystal ball, it's difficult to say what would be the better outcome.
Any further questions or any further discussion?
Their intention is to go out tomorrow, because I think the number is going to be real similar to what Jen showed us today, so that's their general intention, to pull the trigger tomorrow, because they'll meet the parameters.
Any further questions or any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Homewood?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you for your hard work and for putting this together for us, and I think we can have some things to sign.
Oh, yeah. It's time before we go.
It'll be coming. Thank you very much, and we look forward to sharing the results tomorrow.
Great, thanks. Okay, next item on our agenda is our new business. We'll start with the review of the 2023-2024 strategic plan goals.
So we're bringing back the draft we presented at our last meeting to the board for any input before we bring a final draft forward in the next meeting. Strategic plans.
I looked through it pretty carefully, and it looks like most of what we've discussed over the last year has been built into it, and there's nothing that really bothered me or concerned me at all about it, so I think it's good to go as is. I agree. Any other discussion? This does not require a motion. It will next time.
Absolutely.
So we'll move on to our next item, which is the approval of policy revisions for a first reading.
Brian's got these right now.
Tonight we have 7 policies for first reading. All of these come from press, our policy subscription service. They come from 2 different categories of these recommendations. The first 4 I'd like to highlight, 460, 530, 590, and 5150 are all from legislative changes. All these come from Faith's Law, and these are all just changes to previous policies to make sure that we're in line with that current legislation. All of our practices in the HR department and hiring have already been changed. This is just press kind of catching up with the trickle effect of how that law has kind of touched some of these secondary policies. The other one is continuous improvement. Press has a dedication to every 4 years looking at every policy on a continuing basis. And these are some minor changes in language. And one, look at the one that does with technology, eliminating items such as Blackberries and some other technology that my father might still have, but I don't think anyone else, and things such as that. So that's where these recommendations come from. And this will be the first reading, and then they'll come back for the second and next meeting.
Any questions or comments for? Okay, there is a suggested motion on page 123 of your materials.
Move to approve the recommended revisions to policy 4:60, 5:30, 5:90, 5:125, 5:150, 5:260, and 6:135 for a first reading.
A motion by Mr. Parisi, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Maselli?
Yep.
Okay, motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Mr. Maselli. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Homuth?
Yes.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. All right, see you again next time. Okay, and then our final item of new business is the approval of the 2024-2025 school calendar.
And this recommendation comes from the calendar committee. Calendar committee met at the end of last school year. Committee consists of teachers, administrators, and 2 board members. There was some sample calendars that we looked at. We had some discussions, and we went through this calendar. It's very similar to our previous ones. Parent-teacher conferences fall in the same locations. Spring break falls at the last full week of March, and it's very similar in many ways to what we've been doing for the past couple of years with our calendar. After discussion, the calendar committee did vote unanimously to bring this to the board for its consideration.
A couple of points on it that I think were brought up during the meeting that were matters of some concern and some things that were some of the challenges that Brian had faced. One of them is, I recall there was some discussion about starting the school year on a full week as opposed to a partial week.
Yes.
Opted for the partial week, and I can't remember why that was recommended that be done.
Teachers and some administrators spoke to the fact that the partial week, giving students kind of a 2 or 3 days to assimilate, and then having the weekend off before they went to 5 full days.
Okay, that was the first one. The other one that is of some concern has to do with our snow days policy.
Yes.
And the way the calendar ends up, it ends up next 2024-5 on the 23rd of May, which is a Friday, and it's the Friday before Memorial Day. If we have any snow days based upon our current calendar, our current policy, where we don't take school day, we don't go remote on those first 2 days, that will kick into the week after Memorial Day. And there was some concern about that.
Yes.
And that was brought up, I believe the resolution of it was, well, let the board know about it and it can do what it wants to, but that is the situation as it sits right now. We could resolve that by eliminating the 2 snow days, out-of-school snow days, and have in-person remote learning on those 2 days instead, in order to prevent kicking past Memorial Day for school. One other matter that was discussed that wasn't really resolved, it may be more of a collective bargaining issue, was the amount of time that's set aside for parent-teacher conferences. Very different between the first and second semester, and that the first semester it's about 17 and a half hours. Is that right? Whereas in the second semester, it's about 11 and a half hours. And I personally ran into problems with that when I was trying to schedule conferences in the second semester. That is a collectively bargained issue. We can't do anything about it until we resolve it, until we discuss the contract, but it was something we brought to your attention.
That's not something that the calendar committee, as far as, that calendar committee doesn't decide parent-teacher conferences into those durations. That was.
Well, I mean,
You can change it however you want, though.
okay, that wasn't my understanding when we left off, but that was a concern that was brought up with the amount of time.
Typically, Carl, the numbers in the second semester are much lower for parent-teacher conferences. And that's the reason for reduction in time, as much as anything else.
Right.
It isn't a contractual issue.
Well, it was discussed at the meeting as it was, I thought I heard it say it was a contractual issue, and that may be incorrect. But that was brought up, the fact that one of the reasons it's short is they don't have the participation. My personal feeling, my personal experience was that by the time I got to signing up for everything, there weren't any time left. And
I just know as a team.
that, then he started questioning, is it a chicken or egg problem?
Yeah.
There's not anybody there because there's no time left. So it's a situation that we're not going to resolve tonight, and I don't intend to do that, but I wanted the board to be aware. Those were some of the discussions that we had during the calendar committee meeting.
And one of the things with this calendar that made scheduling a little bit of difficulty, Good Friday is many times in spring break. In this calendar, it does not fall within spring break, so it's another day off. And voting day in Illinois is a rotational holiday, and this is one of the years where it is a day off. So those 2 days pushed our calendar, what would have been a Wednesday, and to that Friday.
I have a comment on changing those into remote days. I remember a number of us were in favor of that, and that was not what the board agreed to. In fact, Carl, I think you brought that up, that you wanted to go remote first for 2 days and that. So I think with all the discussion we had, we should...
Can I speak to that? Oh, sorry, Bruce, I didn't mean to cut you off if you were still talking.
Michelle, can I finish for a second? So I think that after all the discussion that we had, that since we spent so much time on that, I think we should follow through this year as to what we agreed to. I'm sorry that that's how it ended, but that's what we voted on.
And I'm not saying it isn't, and I'm not saying we should change it. First of all, this is for next year, the 2024.
Right, and I'd like to, yeah.
If the board may want to revisit that, and it would require a motion and a vote, and we'd have to go through that. So as it stands right now, it is 2 out of school days, and the first 2 days are out of school, and then it's remote. It's kind of too late after the fact. We can't really do it after we've already used the 2 days, and it's going to push us past. That was a concern for the calendar committee. It was a concern that was brought up during the calendar committee meeting, and we needed to make sure that the board was aware of it. So, but as it stands right now, that policy remains in place, and the calendar is as it's being proposed is what's sitting in front of it.
I do have a question. What was the alternatives discussed in the committee as far as start date? Because I feel like we should be representative of a lot of people asking for a later start date. To this point.
Yeah, so Jake, we had talked about, the alternative was starting on the 12th, which is a Monday, and doing a full week of school. And then that buffers, getting out later. I think the challenge is that, people feel like having a first full week is just kind of too much, maybe primarily at the elementary level. I think one of the challenges too is we're balancing elementary and high school. right? Because that's why we ended up with the inclement weather days that we did, because elementary and kindergarten does not get the same benefit from virtual learning as the high schoolers. You know, it's a different ballgame altogether. So trying to balance that piece out. I mean, my concern personally with the calendar as it is that I think if we do have those snow days, we're going to lose attendance after Memorial Day. I think people just aren't going to come back. Or they, you know, might call their kids out, you know, for a couple days here and there, and we're not capturing any learning that last little bit of school, but we might capture it in the first part of the year. But ultimately, you know, I think the staff was pretty overwhelmingly that this was the calendar that they wanted.
And it should be pointed out, I think, that one of the things the committee, I think, decided or concluded was we could change around and try and adjust these things, but whatever we do to adjust it, there's going to be a downside to it, a bad side to it too. As Michelle just said, if we move that first week to a full week, the young kids are going to be phasing out and having problems. If we move eliminate the, you know, if we move the calendar and keep the situation in place, will we have anyone show up at the end of the year? I mean, it's those types of things that it's the best, the committee's conclusion was it's the best solution to address all the concerns.
Yeah,
it's not perfect, but it's good.
Just to be clear, I wasn't talking about that first week. I was talking more along the lines of like the heat and the issue with starting in the mid-August, and there's a large population that would like to start later, closer to September, maybe after Labor Day. I'm just curious if that was discussed or at all, or talked about that as an option. I know there's the downsides with testing not being done prior to the end of the year, but I still think that's not full. I don't feel like at least I would like to be aware of the full discussion.
That's definitely been something discussed, not just at this year's committee, but that's something the committee has discussed. And many, you know, that's come up many times. And the high school and middle schools ending before winter break, if you move that start date closer, or that the number of instructional days becomes very imbalanced between the first semester and the second semester. Whereas what you'd have to do is come back and have final exams or ending instruction of the first semester after Christmas break. And the committee has always been very strongly against that in the instructional sense.
I think one of the other concerns, and I don't know if this is actually brought up to the committee or another discussion, but one of the concerns was preparation for the SATs for the high school kids.
SATs and AP testing. Yes.
You're losing several weeks if you do that, and the tests are kind of where they are, and you're stuck with them.
Yeah, they're set. They are set.
I just think it's worth a discussion with the continued. I mean, we're seeing some climate change where it's just seems like summer is getting warmer and warmer later.
And I hear that, just to clarify, the hottest days this year were after Labor Day also too. I mean, it's a bigger issue too that I think we need to discuss at some point, but a number of issues there.
So it wasn't just a simple, here's the calendar, okay.
Oh no, this
it took us a while.
was a very good, a very positive discussion, but it was a very in-depth conversation about many of those things that we just covered.
You know, just remind everybody, work can do what you want. Our commitment's always been that collaborative process. This is what our staff in that process created. It's good conversation for sure.
Just curious how some other districts, in other areas start at a later point and how they fit it. It'd be interesting to see the full picture.
We could definitely look at that.
All right. Is there any further discussion? There's a suggested motion on page 142.
Move to approve the 2024-2025 school calendar.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Ferris, seconded by Mr. Parisi. Roll call, please.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Homo?
No.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, that's all our new business. Next item is our committee reports. Have any committees met? Brian, thank you for your hard work on the committee, on the calendar,
Thank you.
and all the committee members. All right, next item on our agenda then is our committee reports. Have any committees met, or do any committees have anything to report since our last board meeting? Okay. Then, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Ferris. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Headley. Roll call, please.
Dr. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Homa?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. You gonna do this?
Yeah.